The Apache girl feared cowboys would harm her, until one cowboy became her shield. Nadia lived in the desert where the sun was always bright and the air was dry. The land was wide and open, but it did not feel safe. The mountains looked beautiful from far away, but they also hid dangers. Nadia was only a young girl, yet she had already learned that the world outside her home was full of fear. Her tribe moved from place to place, always staying one step ahead of danger. They did not live in one village forever. Instead, they lived in small groups, hiding in the canyons and staying near water. Nadia's family had learned how to survive in this land, but it was never easy. They had to carry everything they needed on their backs and always watch the sky for riders on horses. Nadia's mother would wake up before sunrise to prepare food. She would make corn and beans, and sometimes she would cook meat if they had enough. Nadia's father taught her how to find water in the desert. He showed her how to look for plants that grew only where water was close. Nadia listened carefully, because she knew that knowing where water was could save a life. Even though her family tried to live quietly, there was always fear. The Apache people had been treated badly by many outsiders. Some people wanted the land for themselves. Others wanted to control the tribes. And some did not understand the Apache way of life. They thought the Apache were dangerous or strange, and they wanted to remove them from the land. Nadia's tribe had seen many people come and go. Some came with gifts and good intentions. Others came with weapons and harsh words. The stories Nadia heard from the elders were full of sadness. She had heard about families being separated, homes being destroyed, and people being forced to leave their land. Every time Nadia heard those stories, her heart would tighten. She could feel the fear in her chest, like a heavy stone. The fear was not just about herself. It was about her family, her friends, and her tribe. She felt responsible in a way that she could not explain. Even though she was young, she felt like she had to stay alert, to be ready for anything. Nadia's grandmother would tell her stories about the old days when the Apache people lived freely. She would speak about the land as if it were a living thing, full of spirits and memories. Nadia loved those stories. They made her feel proud, but they also made her sad because she knew that the world had changed. The freedom her grandmother talked about was not the same as the life Nadia knew. One day, Nadia's father took her to a hidden spot near a river. The water was cool and clear. The place felt peaceful, almost like a secret. Her father sat down and looked at her seriously. "Nadia," he said softly, "you must always remember to be careful. The world is not kind to our people. Some people do not understand us. Some people are afraid of us, and some people want to harm us." Nadia nodded. She had heard these words many times before, but this time they felt different. Her father's voice sounded tired. It sounded like someone who had carried a heavy burden for too long. "Why do they hate us?" Nadia asked. Her father sighed. He looked at the river as if the water might give him an answer. "They think we are different," he said. "They think our way of life is wrong. They think we are not civilized. They think we are dangerous. But we are only trying to live." Nadia swallowed hard. She wanted to ask more questions, but she knew that asking too much could be dangerous. Her father's words were like a warning, and she did not want to push him too far. She stayed quiet and listened. After a while, her father stood up. He placed his hand on her shoulder and smiled gently. "You are strong, Nadia," he said. "You must be brave, but you must also be smart. You must always look for the safe path." Nadia nodded again. She wanted to be brave. She wanted to prove to her father that she could handle the world. But inside, she was still a child. She was still scared. As Nadia grew older, she began to notice things that made her fear grow. She noticed the way outsiders looked at her tribe. She noticed how they spoke about the Apache people as if they were less than human. She noticed how the cowboys rode their horses loudly, like they wanted everyone to know they were in control. The cowboys were the most feared people in the area. They wore hats that shaded their faces, and their boots made loud sounds when they walked. They carried tools that could hurt people and they traveled in groups. When a group of cowboys rode nearby, Nadia's whole body would become tense. Her heart would beat fast. She would look for a hiding place, even if she was just walking with her mother. Nadia had never met a cowboy up close, but she had heard stories from other children. They said cowboys were cruel. They said they took what they wanted without asking. They said they did not care about Apache people. They said cowboys would hurt anyone who stood in their way. Nadia believed these stories because she had no reason not to. She had never seen a cowboy show kindness. She had only seen fear in the eyes of the adults when they spoke about them. She had only heard the sound of horses and felt the panic that followed. One day, Nadia's tribe moved to a new place. They had been forced to leave their old camp because the area had become too dangerous. The new place was deeper in the mountains, and the trees made the air cooler. Nadia felt a small sense of relief. The new camp felt safer, at least for a while, but the fear did not leave her. It followed her like a shadow. She could not sleep at night because she kept thinking about what could happen. She imagined cowboys riding into the camp, shouting and taking everything. She imagined her family being separated. She imagined being alone in the desert again. The next morning, Nadia woke up early. She walked to the edge of the camp and looked out at the open land. The sky was clear and the sun was rising slowly. The desert looked calm, almost beautiful, but Nadia knew better. She knew that beauty could hide danger. She saw a dust cloud in the distance. At first, she thought it was just the wind, but then she realized the cloud was moving in a straight line, like something was riding across the land. Nadia's heart began to race. She ran back to her mother. "Mama," she whispered, "I think there are riders coming." Her mother's face became serious. She stood up quickly and grabbed Nadia's hand. "Come," she said, "we must prepare." The camp began to move fast. The elders shouted instructions. People gathered their belongings. Children were told to stay close to their families. Nadia's mother wrapped her in a blanket and guided her toward a hidden path in the rocks. Nadia could hear the sound of horses getting louder. She could hear voices. She could hear the ground shaking as the riders approached. The fear that had lived inside her for years suddenly became real. Nadia held her mother's hand tightly. She did not want to let go, even though her mother told her to stay close. She was scared, but she also felt something else. She felt the strength of her tribe. She felt the power of people working together to protect each other. They moved quickly through the rocks, following the path that only a few people knew. Nadia's heart pounded in her chest. She tried not to look back, but she could not help it. She wanted to see what was coming. As they moved deeper into the hidden path, Nadia saw the riders. They were cowboys. They were riding fast and they looked angry. Nadia's fear became stronger than ever. She felt as if her body was frozen. She squeezed her mother's hand even harder. Her mother whispered, "Stay quiet, stay calm." Nadia wanted to cry, but she did not. She wanted to scream, but she did not. She only held her mother's hand and listened to the sound of the riders getting closer. Then suddenly, the riders passed by without seeing them. Nadia's tribe stayed hidden and the cowboys continued on their path. Nadia's body began to shake as she realized they had escaped danger. When the riders were gone, the camp slowly began to relax. People breathed again. Children started to speak softly. Nadia's mother hugged her tightly. "You were very brave," her mother said. Nadia looked up at her mother. She wanted to feel proud, but she felt only fear and confusion. She wanted to understand why the cowboys were so dangerous. She wanted to know if there was any way to live without always being afraid. That night, Nadia lay down and stared at the stars. The sky looked beautiful, but it did not feel safe. Nadia thought about the riders. She thought about the stories. She thought about the future. She realized that her life would never be simple. She realized that she would always have to be careful. She realized that the world outside her tribe was full of people who did not understand them. But Nadia also realized something else. She realized that fear did not have to control her. She realized that she could learn to be strong and she could learn to survive. She realized that her family and her tribe were not alone. They had each other. And for the first time, Nadia felt a small spark of hope. Nadia's life after the raid did not become easy. The camp had moved deeper into the mountains, but the fear still followed them like a quiet shadow. Even when the sun was shining and the birds were singing, Nadia could feel her heart tightening. She still remembered the sound of horses and the dust cloud in the distance. She still remembered the way her mother's hand had squeezed hers so tightly that it hurt. The days were full of small tasks. The people worked together to rebuild the camp and gather food. Some went to find water, others gathered wood for fires. The children helped where they could, carrying small bundles of sticks or helping to prepare food. Nadia tried to help, but she felt distracted. Her mind kept going back to the riders. One morning, Nadia's grandmother called her. "Come," she said softly, "we need to talk." Nadia followed her grandmother to a quiet spot near a small creek. The water flowed gently and the sound of it was calming. Nadia sat down and her grandmother began to speak. "Nadia," she said, "you are growing up. You must learn to be strong. You must learn to watch the world, but you must also learn to trust what you see." Nadia listened carefully. She did not understand what her grandmother meant at first. She looked into the water as if the creek could give her the answer. "People can surprise you," her grandmother continued. "Not everyone is the same. Some people are kind, some people are not. But you cannot judge all people by the actions of a few." Nadia's eyes widened. She had never thought about it that way. She had always believed that cowboys were dangerous, and she had never imagined that any of them could be kind. "Is it safe to trust anyone?" Nadia asked quietly. Her grandmother smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Trust is not about being safe," she said. "Trust is about being careful and listening to your heart. You must learn to know the difference between fear and truth." Nadia sat there for a long time, thinking. Her grandmother's words felt confusing, but they also felt important. Nadia realized that she had been living in fear for so long that she had forgotten to look for hope. Later that day, Nadia went to help gather food. She walked with a small group of women and children, searching for plants and berries. The mountains were beautiful and the air smelled fresh. Nadia felt a small sense of peace. She started to feel like she could breathe again, but the peace did not last long. As they walked, Nadia noticed a man on horseback in the distance. He was far away, but Nadia could tell he was a cowboy. Her heart began to race. She felt the familiar fear rising inside her. The women in the group saw him too. They stopped and looked at each other. Nadia could see the worry in their faces. The group quietly moved closer together, trying to decide what to do. The cowboy rode slowly, as if he was looking for something. Nadia's mind began to imagine all the bad things that could happen. She imagined him coming closer, speaking harshly and taking what he wanted. She imagined the group being forced to leave. Nadia's mother held her hand. "Stay close," she whispered. The cowboy continued to ride toward them. He looked around, but he did not seem angry. He did not shout. He did not wave his arms. He just looked as if he was searching for something. Nadia felt a small part of her hope begin to grow. Maybe he was not here to hurt them. Maybe he was just lost. The cowboy came closer. Nadia could now see his face. He looked older than she expected. His eyes were tired, and his face had lines from years of hard work. He did not look like a cruel man. He looked like someone who had lived a difficult life. The cowboy stopped his horse a short distance away. He raised his hand slightly, not as a threat but as a sign of peace. "Hello," he said softly. "I'm not here to cause trouble, I'm just passing through." Nadia's mother spoke first. "Why are you here?" she asked, watching him carefully. The cowboy looked down as if he was thinking. "I was looking for water," he said. "My horse is thirsty. I saw this creek and I came to drink." Nadia watched him closely. She noticed that he did not have any tools that could hurt people. He did not carry extra supplies. He looked like a man who was tired and simply trying to survive. Her mother slowly nodded. "You may drink," she said, "but you must leave afterward." The cowboy nodded. "I understand," he said. "I won't stay long." Nadia watched him drink from the creek. He did not rush. He did not look around with fear or anger. He simply drank and rested for a moment. Nadia felt her fear slowly turning into curiosity. She wondered why this man was different. She wondered if he could be trusted. The cowboy finished drinking and looked up at the group. "Thank you," he said. "My name is Caleb." Nadia's mother nodded. "I am Malia," she said. "This is our group. We do not want trouble." Caleb nodded again. "I don't want trouble either," he said. "I've seen too much fighting. I just want to find my way home." Nadia looked at Caleb carefully. She noticed that his clothes were worn and his boots were dusty. He looked like someone who had traveled a long distance. Nadia wondered why he was alone. Caleb turned his horse and began to leave. Nadia's mother watched him until he was out of sight. Then she turned to the group and spoke softly. "We must be careful," she said, "but we must also remember what grandmother said. Not all people are the same." Nadia listened, feeling a mix of emotions. She still felt scared, but she also felt something new. She felt the first spark of trust. She felt the idea that maybe not all cowboys were dangerous. The next few days passed slowly. Nadia could not stop thinking about Caleb. She wondered where he was going and why he seemed so different. She wondered if he would ever return. One evening, as the sun began to set, Nadia's mother called her. "Nadia," she said, "come with me. We need to go to the hidden path." Nadia followed her mother and they walked quietly through the camp. The air was cooler now, and the sky was filled with orange and pink colors. Nadia felt calm, but she also felt nervous. They reached the hidden path and saw Caleb waiting there. He was sitting on his horse looking at the horizon. Nadia's mother looked surprised. "Caleb," she said softly, "why are you here again?" Caleb looked up. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to come back, but I was worried about you." Nadia's mother frowned. "Worried?" she repeated. Caleb nodded. "I saw the way you moved after the riders passed," he said. "I saw how careful you were. I realized you were not safe. I couldn't stop thinking about you." Nadia felt her heart beat faster. She did not understand why Caleb cared. She did not understand why a cowboy would worry about her. Caleb continued, "I know my people have not treated yours well. I know that. I am not like them. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to help." Nadia's mother looked at him carefully. She could see that Caleb was sincere. She could also see that he was brave to speak these words. "Why are you telling us this?" her mother asked. Caleb took a deep breath. "Because I want you to know that not all cowboys are the same," he said, "and because I want to help. I want to protect you if you let me." Nadia felt her eyes widen. She looked at her mother, waiting to see what she would say. Her mother looked at Caleb for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "We will accept your help," she said, "but you must promise to follow our rules." Caleb nodded. "I promise," he said. Nadia felt a strange feeling inside her. She felt hope, but she also felt fear. She was afraid of trusting someone who was so different from her people. She was afraid of being disappointed. But she also felt a deep desire to believe that kindness could exist in the world. That night, Nadia lay under the stars and thought about Caleb. She remembered his tired eyes and his gentle voice. She remembered how he had asked for water, not for food or supplies. She remembered how he had spoken with respect. Nadia realized that her life was changing. She realized that her fear was not the only thing that defined her. She realized that she could learn to see people differently. She realized that maybe, just maybe, there was room for trust in her heart. And for the first time since the raid, Nadia felt a small sense of peace. After the night Nadia met Caleb again, she felt a change in her heart. The fear that had lived inside her for so long began to soften. It did not disappear, but it became smaller. She still worried about the world outside her tribe. She still worried about cowboys. But now she also felt a new emotion, curiosity. In the days that followed, Caleb stayed near the camp. He did not enter the camp without permission. He waited outside near the trees where he could watch without disturbing anyone. He followed the rules that Nadia's mother had set. He did not speak loudly. He did not move quickly. He acted like someone who respected the people around him. Nadia watched him from a distance. She saw the way he would look at the camp, not with anger but with care. She saw the way he would help carry water or gather wood when he was asked. He did not take anything without asking. He did not demand anything. He simply offered his help. The elders of the tribe were careful. They did not trust Caleb fully, but they did not reject him either. They watched him closely. They listened to what he said. They waited to see if he would prove himself. Nadia's mother still felt unsure. She would often stand near Caleb and watch him as if she was trying to read his thoughts. She would sometimes ask him questions, not to test him but to understand him. "Where are you from?" her mother asked one day. Caleb looked down. He seemed a little uncomfortable. "I grew up in a small town," he said. "I left because I didn't want to be part of the fighting. I wanted to live a simple life." Nadia's mother nodded slowly. "Why did you come here?" she asked. Caleb took a deep breath. "I was traveling," he said. "I was looking for work. I thought I could find a place where I could live without hurting anyone." Nadia listened carefully. She could hear the honesty in his voice. She could also hear the sadness. It was as if he had been searching for something for a long time. One afternoon, Nadia's grandmother called her again. "Nadia," she said, "come with me." Nadia followed her grandmother to the same quiet spot near the creek. The water flowed gently and the air felt calm. Nadia sat down and her grandmother began to speak. "You are growing up," her grandmother said. "You are learning to trust, but you must also learn to be careful." Nadia nodded. She had been thinking about this a lot. She knew that trust was important, but she also knew that trust could be dangerous if it was given too quickly. Her grandmother continued, "Sometimes people want to help because they are good. Sometimes people want to help because they feel guilty. Sometimes people want to help because they want something in return. You must learn to see the difference." Nadia looked at her grandmother. "How can I know?" she asked. Her grandmother smiled gently. "You will know," she said. "Your heart will tell you. But you must also watch actions. Actions are more important than words." Nadia thought about Caleb. He had said he wanted to live a simple life. He had said he did not want to hurt anyone. He had shown kindness. But Nadia also knew that words could be easy to say. Actions were harder. In the following days, Caleb continued to help. He did small things that made life easier for the tribe. He helped carry heavy bundles. He helped repair shelters. He helped find clean water. He never asked for anything in return. One morning, Nadia woke up early and walked to the edge of the camp. She saw Caleb sitting near the trees, looking at the horizon. He looked lost in thought. Nadia felt a strange feeling. She wanted to talk to him, but she was not sure if it was safe. She walked closer. Caleb looked up and smiled gently. "Good morning," he said. Nadia nodded. "Good morning," she replied. There was a silence. Nadia did not know what to say. She felt nervous. She felt curious. She felt something else too, an unexpected sense of comfort. It was as if being near Caleb made her feel safer. Caleb looked at her carefully. "You are brave," he said softly. Nadia's cheeks turned red. She did not know how to respond. She had never been called brave before. She had always felt like she was just trying to survive. "Why do you say that?" Nadia asked. Caleb looked away. "Because you keep living," he said. "You keep going even when you are scared. That takes courage." Nadia felt her eyes fill with tears. She blinked quickly, trying to hide them. She did not want Caleb to see her cry. She did not want him to think she was weak. Caleb noticed her tears and looked concerned. "I didn't mean to make you sad," he said softly. Nadia shook her head. "I'm not sad," she said quickly. "I'm just tired," Caleb nodded. "I understand," he said. "Life can be hard. But you are not alone. You have your family, you have your tribe, and you have me if you need help." Nadia looked at him carefully. She felt her heart beating fast. She did not know why he said those words. She did not know why he wanted to help her so much. She did not know if she could trust him completely. But she also felt a small spark of hope. She felt that maybe, for the first time, someone outside her tribe could care for her without wanting something in return. Days passed, and the tribe began to feel safer. The hidden path in the rocks was still their main route, and they stayed close to the mountains. They were careful, but they were no longer living in constant fear. Nadia began to smile more. She began to laugh again. She began to feel like a child, not just a survivor. One day, the tribe decided to move to a new location. They had found a better spot with more water and food. The elders believed it was safe. Nadia's mother and grandmother helped prepare the camp. Everyone worked together and the mood was hopeful. Nadia packed her belongings. She felt excited, but she also felt nervous. Moving always brought uncertainty, but she trusted her tribe. She trusted their decisions. She trusted the path. Caleb offered to help. He carried some of the heavier bundles and helped guide the group through the rocky terrain. He stayed close, watching for danger. Nadia noticed that he was careful and respectful. He did not rush. He did not act like he was in charge. He simply helped. During the journey, the group encountered a small stream. The water was clear and the air felt cool. Nadia stopped and looked at the water. She felt a strong sense of peace. She felt like the world was not as dangerous as she had believed. Caleb stood beside her. He looked at the stream too. "This is a good place," he said softly. Nadia nodded. "Yes," she replied. "It feels safe," Caleb smiled. "I'm glad," he said. Nadia looked at him and asked, "Why do you stay with us? You could leave any time." Caleb looked down. He seemed to think carefully before answering. "Because I promised," he said, "and because I believe you deserve peace." Nadia felt her heart warm. She did not fully understand his words, but she could feel the truth in them. She could feel that Caleb was sincere. As the group continued their journey, Nadia began to think about her grandmother's words. She thought about trust and actions. She thought about Caleb and his kindness. She thought about the fear she had carried for so long. Nadia realized that her life was changing. She realized that she was learning to trust again. She realized that she could still be careful, but she could also open her heart. And as the sun set over the mountains, Nadia felt something she had not felt in a long time, a sense of hope that the future might be brighter than the past. Nadia had never imagined that her life could change so much. She still remembered the fear she had felt when she was separated from her family during the raid. She still remembered the sound of horses and the dust cloud in the distance. But now, she felt something different. She felt safe, at least for the moment. She felt like she could breathe. The new camp was built near a small river. The water was clean, and the trees provided shade. The air felt cool, and the sound of the water was calming. Nadia's family and the tribe worked together to build shelters and gather food. Everyone was busy, but the mood was lighter than before. People smiled more. Children played more. Nadia even heard laughter again. Nadia noticed that Caleb had become a part of the camp. He did not sit alone anymore. He would sit near the fire with the others. He would share stories and listen to the elders. He did not speak much, but when he did, people listened. He had a calm presence and his kindness was clear. One evening, as the sun began to set, the tribe gathered around the fire. The elders began to tell stories. Nadia loved these moments. She loved the way the firelight made everyone look warm and safe. She loved the way the stories connected them to their past. Caleb sat quietly, listening. He seemed interested in the stories and he seemed respectful. Nadia watched him carefully. She wondered if he had ever heard stories like these before. She wondered what he thought about the Apache people. After the stories, Nadia's grandmother spoke to her. "Nadia," she said, "come with me." Nadia followed her grandmother to a quiet place near the river. The water flowed gently and the moon reflected on the surface like a shining mirror. Nadia's grandmother looked at her seriously. "You have grown," her grandmother said. "You have learned to trust. But now you must learn to protect your trust." Nadia looked at her grandmother. "What do you mean?" she asked. Her grandmother sighed. "You must understand that not everyone will be happy about the peace we have found," she said. "Some people will be jealous. Some people will be angry. Some people will want to take what we have." Nadia nodded slowly. She understood what her grandmother meant. She knew that the world was not always kind. She knew that there were people who wanted to hurt others. "But we will not let them," her grandmother continued. "We will stay strong. We will stay united." Nadia felt a sense of pride. She felt proud of her tribe. She felt proud of her family. She felt proud of herself. She realized that she was not just a child. She was part of something bigger. As the days passed, Nadia and Caleb grew closer. They did not speak often, but they shared small moments. Sometimes they would walk near the river together. Sometimes they would sit quietly and watch the sunset. Sometimes they would help each other with tasks. Nadia began to feel comfortable around Caleb. She felt that she could trust him. She felt that he cared about her safety. She felt that he was different from the other cowboys she had feared. One day, Nadia's mother called her. "Nadia," she said, "I need you to help me gather berries." Nadia nodded and followed her mother into the woods. The trees were tall and the air smelled fresh. Nadia felt calm. She enjoyed being with her mother and helping her. As they walked, Nadia noticed Caleb in the distance. He was walking toward them, carrying a bundle of firewood. Nadia's mother saw him too. She looked at him carefully as if she was deciding whether to trust him. Caleb stopped near them and greeted them quietly. "Good morning," he said. Nadia's mother nodded. "Good morning," she replied. Caleb looked at Nadia and smiled gently. "I found some good wood," he said. "I thought it might help." Nadia's mother looked at the wood. It was dry and strong. "Thank you," she said. Caleb nodded. "I want to help," he said. "I want to make sure you are safe." Nadia's mother looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "We appreciate your help," she said, "but you must understand that we still have rules." Caleb nodded. "I understand," he said. "I will follow your rules." Nadia felt a warm feeling inside her. She felt proud of her mother. She felt proud that her mother was brave enough to trust Caleb. She felt proud that her tribe was becoming stronger. That night, Nadia lay in her shelter and thought about the future. She thought about the peace they had found. She thought about the safety they felt. She thought about Caleb and the kindness he had shown. But Nadia also remembered her grandmother's warning. She remembered that not everyone would be happy about their peace. She wondered if the peace would last. She wondered if the world would allow them to live in safety. The next morning, Nadia woke up to the sound of horses. She sat up quickly and looked outside. She saw a group of riders in the distance. Nadia's heart began to race. She felt the familiar fear returning. Her mother came to her shelter. "Nadia," she said, "stay here. Do not go outside." Nadia nodded. She could hear the sound of the riders getting closer. She could hear the horses moving. She could feel her heart beating fast. Nadia's mother went outside and spoke to the riders. Nadia could not hear what they said, but she could see her mother's body language. She could see that her mother was calm but also careful. After a few minutes, the riders stopped near the edge of the camp. Nadia watched from her shelter. She saw that one of the riders was not like the others. He looked familiar. Nadia's heart stopped. It was Caleb. Nadia could not believe it. She watched as Caleb spoke to the riders. He looked serious. He looked focused. Nadia could not see what they were saying, but she could see the way Caleb stood. He stood like someone who was protecting the camp. Nadia felt a strange mix of emotions. She felt relief that Caleb was there. She felt fear because the riders were still a threat. She felt hope because she saw Caleb standing strong. The riders spoke for a while, then turned their horses and left. Nadia watched them go. She felt her body relax. She felt the fear slowly leaving her. Nadia's mother came back to her shelter. "They are gone," she said softly. "They were looking for supplies. They didn't find what they wanted. Caleb helped us." Nadia looked at her mother. "Caleb helped," she repeated. Her mother nodded. Yes, she said. He spoke with them. He told them we are not a threat. He told them we have a right to live. He did not allow them to take anything. Nadia felt tears in her eyes. She felt proud. She felt grateful. She felt a deep sense of trust in Caleb. That night, Nadia went to the river and sat alone. The moon was bright and the water reflected the light like a mirror. Nadia thought about what had happened. She thought about the riders. She thought about Caleb. She realized that Caleb had become more than a helper. He had become a shield. He had become someone who protected her and her tribe. Nadia understood that she was not alone. She understood that she could trust some people outside her tribe. She understood that kindness could come from unexpected places. And as she sat by the river, Nadia felt a strong feeling in her heart. She felt that the future might be brighter than she had ever imagined. She felt that peace was possible, even in a world that had been full of fear. The days in the new camp felt different than before. The air was calmer and the people seemed happier. The children played more freely and the adults spoke with more confidence. The tribe had found a sense of peace that Nadia had not experienced in a long time. Nadia felt a new sense of strength inside her. She was no longer only a child who was afraid. She was becoming a young person who understood the world better. She knew that the world was not always kind, but she also knew that the world could be gentle sometimes. Nadia spent her days helping her family and the tribe. She helped gather food, carry water, and take care of the younger children. She also spent time near the river where she felt calm. The river had become a place where she could think and reflect. Caleb was still near the camp. He had become a familiar presence, like a quiet friend who was always there when needed. He continued to help the tribe in small ways, always respectful and careful. He never tried to take control or make decisions. He simply offered his support. Nadia's mother still watched him carefully, but she had begun to trust him more. Nadia's grandmother also seemed to accept Caleb. She would sometimes sit near him and talk quietly. Nadia noticed that Caleb would listen carefully to her grandmother's stories. He would nod and show respect, even when he did not fully understand. One evening, the tribe gathered around the fire. The elders spoke about the future. They talked about the importance of staying together and staying strong. They talked about the value of kindness and respect. Nadia listened carefully. She felt proud of her tribe and proud of herself. After the meeting, Nadia walked to the river. The night was calm and the stars were bright. Nadia sat on a rock near the water and looked at her reflection. She thought about how much her life had changed. She thought about the fear she had carried for so long. She thought about the day she was separated from her family. She thought about the days she had spent hiding. Nadia felt a small tear fall down her cheek. She did not try to stop it. She let it fall. She felt a mix of emotions, sadness, relief, and gratitude. She felt like she had survived something difficult, and she felt proud of herself. As she sat there, she heard a soft sound behind her. She turned and saw Caleb standing a few steps away. He looked at her with a gentle expression. "You seem lost in thought," he said softly. Nadia nodded. "I am thinking about the past," she said. "I am thinking about how much things have changed." Caleb sat down beside her. He looked at the river and then at the sky. "You have been very strong," he said. "I am proud of you." Nadia looked at him. "You helped me," she said. "You helped us." Caleb nodded. "I only did what was right," he said. "I could not stand by and watch you suffer." Nadia looked down at the water. She thought about what Caleb had said. She realized that his words were not just kind, they were true. Caleb had made a choice. He had chosen to help even though it was not easy. He had chosen to stand with her tribe even though he was different. Nadia spoke quietly. "Why did you choose to help us?" she asked. Caleb looked at her carefully. He seemed to think before answering. "Because I saw your strength," he said. "I saw how your people stayed together. I saw how you never gave up. And I realized that you deserved peace." Nadia felt a warm feeling in her chest. She had never heard anyone say those words to her before. She had never been told that she deserved peace. She had always believed that she had to earn it. Caleb continued, I also wanted to change. I wanted to be better. I wanted to show that not all cowboys are the same. Nadia nodded slowly. She understood. She realized that Caleb was not only helping her tribe, he was also helping himself. He was trying to become a better person. Nadia looked at Caleb and asked, Will you stay with us? Caleb looked down for a moment. He seemed unsure. Nadia could see the conflict in his eyes. She knew that he had his own life, his own path. She knew that he could leave any time. Caleb took a deep breath. I cannot stay forever, he said. I have my own journey. But I will stay as long as I am needed. Nadia felt a mix of emotions. She felt sad because she did not want him to leave. She felt grateful because he had already done so much. She felt hopeful because she believed that their paths had crossed for a reason. As the days passed, the tribe continued to live in peace. They worked together, helped each other, and stayed strong. Nadia's fear slowly faded. It did not disappear completely, but it became a small part of her past. The future felt brighter. One day, a messenger arrived at the camp. He was a traveler who had heard about the tribe's peaceful life. He came with a message from another group of people who wanted to offer friendship. They had heard about the kindness of the tribe and wanted to meet them. The elders listened carefully. They spoke quietly. Nadia watched as her grandmother nodded. Nadia felt a sense of hope. She realized that their peaceful life was not only safe for them, it was also a symbol of something larger. It was proof that kindness could be stronger than fear. The next day, the tribe prepared to meet the new group. They cleaned the camp and prepared food. They wanted to show respect and welcome the visitors. Nadia felt excited. She felt like the world was opening up. When the visitors arrived, Nadia saw that they were not cowboys. They were people from a nearby community. They wore different clothes, but they looked friendly. They greeted the tribe with respect. They spoke kindly. Nadia watched as her tribe welcomed them. She saw the smiles on their faces. She saw the way they shared food and stories. She saw the way they treated each other with respect. Nadia realized that her world was changing. She realized that her tribe could live in peace. She realized that her people could be accepted by others. She realized that the future could be brighter than she had ever imagined. As the sun began to set, Nadia walked to the river again. She sat on the same rock where she had sat before. She looked at the water and thought about her life. She thought about the fear, the pain, the survival. She thought about the kindness, the trust, and the peace. She thought about Caleb. She thought about how he had become her shield. She thought about how he had protected her and her tribe. She thought about how he had shown kindness when she had expected fear. Nadia smiled softly. She felt grateful. She felt proud. She felt hopeful. She knew that her life would not always be easy. She knew that there would be challenges, but she also knew that she had survived the worst. She knew that she had found strength inside herself. And she knew that she had learned something important, that people could change and that kindness could create a new path in the world. As the night grew darker, Nadia stood up and walked back to the camp. She felt calm. She felt safe. She felt ready for whatever the future might bring. And in her heart, she carried a quiet belief that peace was possible, even in the most difficult places.